Oh, you clicked recording. Okay, cool. Are we doing this, Scott? We ready?
We're doing this. Let's go. Yeah, Grant, your audio is a little hot too. If you drop it just a little bit and then say something, except unmute and then say something.
TJ, what's glimpsed at your face? I'm going to do that bit again. That was just nonsense.
Glimpsed at your
Yeah.
face?
What?
There was three phrases in my head, and all of them amalgamated into one, and made no sense. Yeah, halfway through that, I was like, I hope I find it along the way. I didn't. I so nearly read that. I was just like, the 5th of February. You do your dates wrong on that's 2nd of May. Okay, weirdos.
And of course, our $1 and free posse mop.
At least it's on you and not us this time.
Yeah.
Welcome, everyone, to episode 134 of the Plastic Posse podcast. This podcast is brought to you by our great partners at Microworld Games, Tankcraft, Tamiya USA, Bases by Bill, and AK Interactive. We're grateful for their support, along with our Patreon. Without them, none of this is possible, and we can't thank them enough. Let's catch up with everybody around the horn, because we have everyone here today. So let's start off with TJ. How's it going, and what are you working on?
Oh, it's going pretty good. Yeah, I got a new job that I haven't started yet, but I start soon, so I'm looking forward to that. And I'm taking a week off in between leaving my current job and starting my new one, so I'm hoping to get a lot of bench time. That'll be in 3 weeks. But as far as what I'm currently working on, it's mainly just the Sphinx. It's ready for weathering. I haven't really figured out a plan on how to do it, like how I want to do it. Anyone that's done hover vehicles, it's I don't know, it's kind of hard because you can't throw mud and all that stuff on them because they're not in the mud, but they should still get dirty because they're driving, well, not driving, I guess, floating around. So I've been looking at and it sucks because hardly anyone's ever done one. So there's not a whole lot of examples of oh, this is how you should do it. Luckily, the ones that are out there are usually pretty good, Brian Krieger's. So I've been looking at his a lot and kind of probably going to do a similar approach to him. So a lot of dust and lighter dirt tones on the hover skirts. And just the shape of it lends itself to a lot of streaking on the sides, which will be fun. And yeah, so I'm maybe going to start that today. If not, maybe this coming week. But yeah, other than that, that's, I mean, it takes up my entire bench. So I don't really have room to work on anything else. I got to paint the figures for it too. So I might do that while I'm trying to figure out how to weather it, but that's pretty much it.
Yeah, I see it taking up the entire X-Acto mat back there.
Yeah, it's so big. Yeah. And I got to decide if I want to glue in the rocket tubes, because right now they're just stuck in there. And I don't know if they're going to be in the way to weather, but I don't know, because I'm tired of them flopping around and then taking them out. I keep worrying I'm going to drop them and break them, which would be very upsetting if that were to happen. So, but yeah, man, it's pretty cool.
It's pretty sweet. Are you going to do a base for it? Because the base will be the size of Texas, I feel.
Yeah, I've already talked to Jeff to see if he can kind of help me out and make a base. I probably won't go with a rectangle. I might. He had some pretty cool ideas for when he was helping me design the base for the knocked out A1. So anyone that has met Jeff knows he's super creative and has a really eye for design and layout and stuff. So I took it to our last AMPS meeting last month, looking essentially how it looks now, really just to show it off, because I know people have wanted to see it, all my buddies in the club. So now that it's almost done, we have a meeting on the 21st. So I've to work that day, but I can usually get there like after it starts. But I'm going to bring it again. Hopefully him and I can kind of sit down and sketch something cool out that fits with the shape of the thing and how I want the crew. You guys are looking at it. You can see the little black crew figures because they're just primed. How I want the crew to set and which direction I want everything to face and how I'm going to make it actually sit up off the ground because I want it to not physically be on like the base. It needs to be up to show that it hovers. So I do have an idea for that because I've done that before. I'm on a different model. So yeah, that's my plan at least. I'm trying to get it done before amps, which it will be. But yeah, also want to finish other stuff before amps too. So I got to actually like buckle down and do it.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. Multiple projects. I'm fearful that I won't finish any. But no, that's cool. I love it. Can't wait to see it finished. And I'm going to head over to Scott. We've spent enough time together, but I do want to hear from you. So what's up, my friend? What's on your bench? I think I have an idea, but...
How's everybody doing? Yeah, I actually, we got on a Zoom yesterday with a bunch of friends, and that was good. And just about ready to prime that little Star Wars Legion land speeder. And then I've also got those Battlestar Galactica land rams that I'm still working on. I had to reprint some parts due to a disastrous bench session, but that's a cool thing, I guess, about using a model that you have STL files for. So got that all sorted. But yeah, that's what I've been working on. Yeah, really a bulk of my hobby time after I got back from Texas. We'll talk about that more a little bit later, has been spent on 48 and 48 planning and also working on the Rocky Mountain Expo. So lots going on over here, but did work on those three things.
Nice. Looking forward to each of them. I can't wait to see the land speeder because that's a super cool kit. I think the Legion one is probably the best one out there. They're doing they're repopping another one, right? Not repopping, but did they redesign one? What is it called? Round 2? Yeah.
Yeah, round 2 has a new one coming out. It's pretty big. I think it's like 1/12 scale.
Yeah.
Designed to be in scale with like the Bandai droids, which is a great decision. I've seen a test shot, haven't seen the kit, but I think July, Grant, I think that and the 48 scale TIE Bomber are both going to be out relatively soon.
Yeah, both of them are scheduled, I believe, for July.
Nice.
Yeah. Nice. The coolest one they're doing, though, is they made the studio scale TIE Fighter, the 132nd, and they've got a companion TIE Interceptor coming third quarter that looks really cool. And that's a great size for the Interceptor.
Sweet. Okay, great. Thanks, Scott. Over to Grant.
Yeah, I finished up my welding droid almost. I just got to do a few odds and ends on that, so I'll have that for the show in April. I'm doing a couple figures off and on. I haven't painted figures in quite a while. I've been kind of hanging away from that, so I'm getting back into that a little bit. So it's one of those skills that if you don't do it all the time, you kind of feel like you're all the way back at point zero. It's a slow process. I'm getting ready for my start work on my project for the contest that will not be named until October. So I got all the parts for that, the kits and stuff for that. So it's been a pretty good couple of weeks. So
that yellow, it reminds me of JB's Toyota.
No, yeah.
his FJ weather, man, chips and weather's so awesome. That droid looks really cool, man.
Oh, thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Nice. Yeah, it's coming together real great. I love the T-62 turret in it. I love the Greeblies. That's so cool.
Well, it's kind of cool is that the Darth Vader helmet's on the bottom of it. If you look real close, you can actually see that the bottom of it is the old MPC Darth Vader helmet that I split.
Oh man!
So it's kind of interesting. So.
Very cool. Very cool. All right, going across the pond to our international guest, or sorry, I should say international host, but he's always on interview. He's always being interviewed every episode, listeners. So, Jensen, how are you?
I'm all right. I want to preemptively apologize if I sound at all strange this episode because I just had my tongue pierced like 2 days ago. I had it done, and I was like, "Oh crap, we're recording in 2 days." So yeah, if there's some words that sound a bit slurred, that's why. But yeah, I'm doing all right. It's been quietly productive. I have had one absolute cataclysmic, whatever that word is, error at my bench. So we'll start with the good, the KV1. I'm working on the Ryefield KV1. That's the build for that is very nearly finished. And I've incorporated the new RT diorama chicken wire sets onto the build. Tom very graciously sent me some of those. And I did put a review up on the Plastic Posse Podcast Facebook page. I'm super impressed with that stuff. It goes beyond, and I said this in the review, what I thought 3D printing could do. The resin's super flexible. I didn't need to heat it up. It honestly, it behaves like wire fabric netting that you can. It just conforms to the surfaces you put it on. So I'm really impressed with that. So I've got that on the main gun of the tank and the turret. That's just been like tack welded on, and there's going to be some RT dio foliage. I've done one run of the metal tracks because 88 per side, but I've done 90 because I want them to have a lot of sag. It's a KV1. I want really saggy tracks. So that's going along really well. I want to get that in primer tonight or tomorrow. That'd be lush. My big mistake was the Musaru build. So I heard a slight sigh gasp in the background there. So I was doing a certain style, didn't like it, stripped it, painted it again, didn't like it, went to strip it. What I went to strip it, I grabbed the wrong bottle. So rather than strip it with, well, something that would strip the paint, I used Mr. Hobby Tool Cleaner, which is basically Tamiya Extra Thin.
So it's a blob now.
It's like chewing gum. I know there's an expression you can polish a turd, but this is going to take some polishing. So I've got a few days to make something work with that, but that was a very clumsy mistake on my part. It serves me right for having such a cluttered spray booth. So there's going to be a lot of sanding. I've got a few days. I like a deadline.
So now it's going to be a rusted out Hulk in a field or something.
Yeah, totally fits the theme of this year's build. Not even slightly, but I'm nothing if not unique. So there's that. I would love to get it, moving back to a positive note, the KV. Love to get that done for amps. I fly as of today in 5.5 weeks. Sounds like it's 31 days specifically. Yeah, it's.
I better get my vaccines before I see you.
Yeah, I'm gonna be. I know they said something inappropriate. So yeah, I'd like to get it done with a simple muddy base, nothing too extravagant, because I keep saying to everyone like, oh, if it doesn't get done, I'm just not going to bring anything. But I don't want to be the guy who travels all that way, goes to amps, and just doesn't bring a build. Because I know when I get there, I'll be pissy about it.
Yeah.
So I'd love to get that done. I've got the figure to put on top of it. Again, figure painting, not my strong suit, so that's going to be interesting. But I am going to crack on and persevere. Everyone knows me. I love a deadline, especially a self-inflicted stressful one. But yeah, nice. That's me.
Man, amps is so close. I'll just go right into mine then. I got a couple projects brewing. I have the Jeep. It's almost done. It's really close. And I decided to do a little vignette for it because I have a scale 75 wedge of a Belgian town building. So I'm going to integrate that and maybe do a little vignette. And then one thing that's kind of piqued my interest lately, and I want to get back on it because it's super close, is the Firefly that I have probably in the same state for almost a year because I wanted to get it done for last year's amps. So it's super close. I have decals for the stencil on the boxes. One thing I did make a mistake on, which it's a mistake, but I'm looking at pictures and I found one or two which can justify my mistake. So obviously the coax gun position or the hull MG position welded over, I think an ammo box goes there. But people have said, oh yeah, they wouldn't put a periscope and they wouldn't open that hatch. But I have found some pictures where the periscope is in it. And then actually, I think it's the one that you're doing, TJ. Both hull hatches are open and there's like a guy sitting in the hatch. He's not fully in it. He's kind of propped on top and he's just kind of sitting there guiding the vehicle forward. So I think I might try to find a figure that sits in the open hatch. He's not in the hatch, but he's like on it. So that's one of the things that I learned because I can't take the periscope out. Like there's no way. I could close the hatch, but the periscope will still be there, which there's one or two pictures that show that. So anyway, that's one thing I'm going to deal with.
Yeah, you are correct. It's just one of those things that everyone says. Mm-hmm. Everyone loves to say like, oh, they wouldn't blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And like you mentioned, the one I built, the hatch is literally open and there's
with a periscope in it.
Periscope
Or
is
is it
not
the
in it.
or is
It's
that the
just
holder?
It's just the housing, the holder,
Oh,
whatever they
okay.
call it. But you could just put a Periscope in it, like
Yeah.
And like you said, I've also seen pictures of them with the Periscope in the housing because it's just there. Like it
Yeah.
came that way, right? And you
Right.
can put it, if you have an extra one, you can just put it in there.
Yeah.
But granted, no one sat there. You could still get where it was. The ammo box didn't go all the way up to the hatch. Like you could sit or stand on top of the ammo box.
Right.
And like the one I have, the guy's hanging out of the hatch. He clearly climbed out of that hatch, so it's not like it's inaccessible.
Yeah, there's just the people that love to go right towards that. So anyway, that's one project I'd love to get done. So if I could get the vignette and the Firefly done, which is pretty close. I just got some preserve asparagus firm that I'm super excited to get. I know I have the Faustus ones as well, so I'm going to do a little comparison which one will work best on the Firefly. But yeah, that's the story on my end. I'll keep it rolling, and we're going to highlight some other models outside of our own bench. Jensen, take us away for the Plastic Posse group.
Okay, yes, thanks, Jibby. So it's that time where we go through and find builds from our lovely members that have been working on for the past couple of weeks and see what caught our eye. So, Scott, this week, what grabbed your attention from the Plastic Posse Facebook group?
Thanks, Jensen. Yeah, I'm going to go with David Brian Bridges. He's been working on a model base, and sorry, David, I forget which model's going to go on it, but the process of doing the base, he's got an inlaid stone road, a bunch of vegetation on it. I just really like the way it's coming together. It's not anything grand, but it looks really, I don't know, realistic for lack of a better term. But I really like the process that he's followed. He's posted a lot of pictures on it, so I really like it. So that's what I'm going to go with, David Brian Bridges' model base. Great job, man.
Yeah, wonderful choice. David his work is sublime. Yeah, I very, very, very nearly chose that one. So yeah, great selection. Grant, how about yourself? What grabbed your attention?
I'm going to do Brandon Jacobs, my Horch, whatever you want to call it. He's a winter camouflage. He had a little bit of an extra help at Winterblitz. I guess Rick Waller from AK stayed with him, gave him some free lessons for a couple hours. So that's a way to use that, Brandon. Smart move. I think winter camouflage is one of the hardest camouflages to paint. The everything slips off, and you have to layer it so well. He did a really good job. I'm looking at it. I believe he used the pencils on it, from what I can tell. I'm sure if Rick was there, he did. And he just did a fantastic job, Brendan. And just keep it up. Really great work.
Yeah, I like that piece. He was talking to us about that a little bit, having Rick over, and it's always good to see Rick, and he's always great to jump in and help people out. But a really cool project. I agree with you, Grant.
Lovely stuff. JB, how about yourself?
Yeah, I go with Randy Woolsey's M1 Abrams. He was at Winterblitz and saw his T62 there as well, and I just really like his style. I think it's super crisp, and really enjoyed seeing his work in 3D, especially that T62 that I think Nemo highlighted the last episode. His work is super well done, and it's interesting. It's one of those instances where you see it in pictures online, and you're like, wow, that's really nice. And then you see it in person on the table, and it really just pulls you in, because he had his T62 on a little higher base as well. So overall, like, really great work, Randy. Keep it up. Thanks for sharing.
That's a good choice. I talked to Randy about his T62, and like a lot of modelers, he talked about how the night before when he was working on it, it just about ended up getting thrown at a wall. But I'm really glad he stuck with it. But yeah, the reactive armor blocks on that T62, the overall presentation, I thought was a really sharp model.
Yeah, 100%. And his Abrams, I just freaking loved. Yeah, in person, it was really nice. And for 48 scale, it's super, super nice.
Absolutely. TJ, what caught your eye this week?
So I'm going to choose Ben Hardaway's M51. Ben's a club member at our local AMPS club. He's a really cool dude. Really good modeler. And for his M51, he used the Academy kit with an ancient Verlinden turret, which, like, again,
bless you.
Hats off. And I've told him that, like, in person, when I'm like, dude, you pick the hardest way to do it. And he crushed it. It's really good. So it's rare for me to again, that's one of my controversial opinions. I don't like Israeli armor. Just the color is ugly. I hate that color. I hate it so much. They're like, I treat Israeli armor as the same as I do with like M4 Phantom. So for me to choose an Israeli subject, sorry, Pat. Yeah, so that tells you that it's pretty good. Yeah, very good. I can't wait to see it. I've seen it in person. I don't think I've seen it complete. Last time I saw it, it was almost done. So now it's all done, and it's really good.
The Sherman guy hates Israeli Shermans, but
No.
but they're
I don't
like that.
I freaking hate that IDF color. It is the ugliest color, and I just do not like it.
The sand gray or the like tan
Both.
kind of color.
I don't like,
Yeah.
especially the sand gray. I hate that color.
Okay.
I just don't like it. Which is, yeah, because M51s they're cool looking, and so are M50s,
Yeah.
and so are Merkavas. Like, all that stuff is awesome looking. I just hate painting that color because I've used that color on a Mac subject, and it turned out fine. But I was like, the whole time doing it, I'm like, I hate this color so much. And I added disruptive camo over it, which made it better. But yeah, that sand gray, I hate that color. It's just a hideous color.
Is it as bad as that Russian brown color like they put on their tanks? I'm trying to think of the one you did. It was a Valentine.
No, that's a British color. That's SCC too.
British
That's
color,
also a hideous color. Yeah, I'll never do that again because I hate that color.
Terrible.
Just horrid. But yeah, that was my pick. Ben Hardaway's awesome Academy in Verlinden in M51. So he gets bonus points for beating that dog into submission.
Absolutely.
And finally, for myself, I picked Benjamin Falk Jessen's Fowls D3A from Wingnut Wings. Beautiful emerald green biplane, all the rigging. It's just, it caught my eye. It's such a nice, striking colour, but got so many different shades going on in the green paint. And anyone who can rig a biplane, always, doff my hat to you, because that's just, it's not easy, even for Wingnut Wing kits. Yeah, done all the, not just the wiring, but the what they call it, the hooks, the loops, or the plumbing for the wiring. It's done very well, and he's done a great job with that. And it's photographed very cleanly, very crisp, nice clean background. Just everything about that build, just instantly my eyes were to it. So I had to choose that. Yeah, Benjamin did a great bit of work with that build. So yeah, top notch.
Another good choice, Jensen. It made me think AK has a new book out, new to me anyway. I don't know if you guys have seen it, but it's called Poles versus Soviets, the 1920 War in the Air, and it goes over a bunch of biplanes that the Poles and Soviets looked at. It looks like an amazing book. Rick sent me a couple photographs of the pages because we're going to give one of these away. Well, we're going to auction one of these off in the 48 and 48. But if you guys haven't seen that new AK book, it's by Lucas B-O-C-H Bach or Bosch. If you're into, I think most of us have Wingnut Wings in our stashes. If you guys are into that, check that book out. Pretty stunning.
Absolutely. So remember, listeners, keep posting your work on the page. And next episode, we will find more of the following week's work that we really appreciated. But yeah, JB, back to yourselves.
Yeah, I'd love to just take a moment to highlight some of the places we went last weekend in Texas, and specifically starting off with the Model Box. It's Stan Spooner's new shop in Boerne, Texas. And I just really want to give kudos to him and what he's doing there. Scott and I he really treated us like special guests the Friday before Winterblitz. We drove over from Austin after flying in and spent the whole morning with him. Ate breakfast, had a great session, and I really enjoyed his shop. And specifically, it's a place that I really hope it takes off, because I'd love to have it in my town. I mean, there's a huge open space when you first come in. There's community areas. There's a Warhammer in the back. There's tons of stock already. And if you're interested in seeing what it really looks like, I posted a video online that gives a full walkthrough of his shop. Scott and I had the pleasure of interviewing him and really going through exactly what he's doing there and why he's doing it. And it's just, it's good vibes. And there were some local Texas modelers there, Chris, Dana, and Rob, that stopped by and it was just, again, you want to talk about a happy place that brings you joy. The Model Box and the overall town of Boerne is super nice too. We had an awesome lunch over at Cibolo, which is a local business that has burger joint and a microbrewery and a smokehouse for barbecue. And it's just, I could live there. I could retire there. It's just a really nice little town. And Scott, maybe, I'd ask you to talk a little bit about the shop and what your takeaway was as well.
Yeah, I think just, in general, just kind of echoing what you said, the vibe. The town has a great vibe. I think a German community out in hill country. It's got a real charm to it. Really, really nice. JD mentioned Cibolo Creek, and that was a great meal, but it's got a great vibe, and Stan's shop really echoes that and brings it out. There's places to play war games and, hang out. He's got airbrush booths, like JB mentioned, but it's really great. I noticed in our YouTube video of the shop, there's been a number of comments of, hey, I live in North Carolina or whatever. I can't wait to see one of these open in my town. And so I think Stan's really, really onto something. It's a great little shop. Stan's really spent a lot of time and a lot of heart and soul kind of coming up with the concept and then executing it, which isn't easy. Always to execute on your dreams. We actually sat down and spoke with him a little bit about that. And so here's that interview now. So we're kind of sitting down in one of your common areas, Stan, and I just wanted to say the shop has a lot of thoughtful features, whether it's the airbrush booth or the big TV or the comfortable chairs. It's really a space more than just a retail location.
Social club.
And yeah, absolutely. And as we sit here, you can see the mats where people can build and everything. But I wanted to talk to you a little bit about where did the model box come from? How did that kind of start, and how did it come to be?
Well, I think as we discussed when you guys first came in, this is something that's been laid on my heart and my wife's heart for a long time. Hopefully a place that will eventually turn into retirement. But that said, it's a place to create community. And I think this town could sorely use a place where people can come and be a part of something and do something productive and fun, that they're not buried behind a screen and isolated. I think we all had enough of that during COVID. So this is probably a counterintuitive thing to that. The front end of the store is the social club, the back end and then the wargaming area, the retail parts in the back of the store, and community is what it's all about. These guys that are sitting on the back side of the camera are a big reason why we started this, because when we moved here, I prayed about I wanted friends that I could share all the parts of my life with, including this, and God provided me these guys, and they have come through in spades for me, and in turn, Henry and I wanted to make this happen. The idea, given that we can work the bugs out of this thing, is within a couple of years is franchise this, because I think there's a ton of communities in this country that need this. Need a hub, a social hub, and this hobby is a great tool for that social hub. I've been in it since I was 6. This was my first model with my dad. My dad worked a lot. He owned his own business, and we got very little social time with him, but I remember this, and it's just by a sheer fluke that I still have Batman. But this is the Aurora Batman 1965. Wow. That's the year we built it. I was 6 years old, and yes, they had plastic models back in the Stone Age. And like I said, I'm very thankful to my cousin who actually held on to that for a long time and gave it back to me. So that's where I started. I'm looking to get anyone into this hobby at whatever age they're at and let them start where they're at in the process and just enjoy it. Make friends the way we did.
I love that. You got up on the wall scale modeling. It's more than just a hobby.
Absolutely.
And again, everything is just intentional. Well, you brought up Batman here, but we've got some other of your pieces here. Maybe just give us a little brief history of each of these pieces that you've got here.
Well, I build all types of different things. I never finish them. I tend to finish armor. But a few of the things that I have here is this was my first completed Warhammer model, although I had to do my own spin on it. I took the 40K Goliath and turned it into a Warhammer LRDG. Not something you see every day. David Grummett was very kind to publish that in Fantasy Figure International, and that was a lot of fun. Working on a couple other Warhammer pieces, doing my own thing to it. The duster, quarter scale duster, was just in AFV Modeler. Thank you, Mark and David, for being willing to publish that. You don't see quarter scale dusters. They just don't exist. This is a heavily reworked SS model 3D printed kit. And then this is my SU-122 that won Best of Show at AMPS in 24. So that was the groundbreaker for quarter scale for AMPS. So
excellent,
yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Well, we, one of the questions we've been asking people in the hobby is, what is your why? I mean, obviously you're committed to community. Obviously you're committed to providing more than just a transactional experience with your customers. But what is your why? What keeps you coming back to the hobby and the community that's built around it?
It's given me so much. I want to give it back if I can. I want to grow it. I want to grow it in my own life. I want to grow it in other people's lives. At the end of the day, there's a transaction. I'm not going to kid you. There's a transactional part of this. I'd like it to provide, retirement cash flow for my wife and I. And it won't hurt if we can do some traveling and write it off. So that would be great. But that having been said, I love the hobby. I love the things I've learned. I love the history it connects you with. So whatever I can do to try to create opportunities for those experiences to be shared by other people, that's what we're going to do. That's my why.
Well, I have to say, from my perspective, mission accomplished.
Thanks, buddy. Thanks. We're trying to keep it going. My partner, Henry, and I, we believe in this. It's a day-by-day growth, moment-by-moment growth thing, but we're going to stick with it. I think we've got something here.
Absolutely.
So.
Awesome. Well, Stan, again, thank you. Thank you for the passion. Thank you for the effort. You've made a space that's, really comfortable. People come in and they immediately sit down, and it's more like friends than customers. I can see what you're building here, and it's amazing. So best of luck from the posse, and
thank you.
We couldn't be more thrilled to see what you've come up with.
Absolutely. Come back. We love having you.
Will do.
All right. Cool.
As you heard, listeners, there's a deep passion with Stan and his shop, and I encourage everyone to, follow his page on Instagram, Facebook, and then when you're in Texas, whether it's Austin, San Antonio, or even take the long drive from Houston, it's well worth a visit, and we wish him the best of luck. And he's going to be rolling out some classes there. I even think he had ambitions of online stuff, so I'm really hopeful and can't wait to see what happens next down in Boerne, Texas at the Model Box. So check it out. And I think, as we all agree on this panel, he has the most comfortable shirts that any hobbyist releases, whether it's the Gen 1 gray, Gen 2 black, or the recent Gen 3 olive drab. His shirts are the best. So major shout out to Stan on that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I also want to mention Stan's generously contributed some watts to the 48 and 48 as well. Really appreciate that as well. Anyway, we went from Stan's shop in Boerne off through Hill Country over to Kyle, Texas to see another really great shop. And we were fortunate enough to be able to have some time to visit Lionheart Hobbies and spend some time with Rudy again. And John, it seems like every time we go to Rudy's shop, he's made it better somehow. And this time was no exception.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, I think what blew me away this time was there's a new area called the Pro Shop, which is kind of a storefront that you can enter, honestly, 4 doors down from the normal entrance, but it literally has every Quinta thing in stock there. It has Raptor miniature figures, which I picked up the M18 crew, which I was super happy about. There's H3 model stuff. There's T-Rex tracks. There's all the advanced kits. So that was a new section I didn't remember going to last time when we were there at the Nationals back a couple years ago. So overall, it's a great shop. I think he's certainly expanded his consumable section and the storage units. I think they own 12 of them in the whole place.
Yeah, it's not long till he's going to have the whole place.
Yeah, so I give a major credit to Lionheart. Texas is rich with hobby shops, and that's certainly one to highlight. We filmed there as well, and we'll get that up too, for those listeners curious to see what it looks like inside. And yeah, and we had a chance to talk to Rudy, and overall a really great time, and kind of served as a halfway point between Boerne and College Station.
Yeah, absolutely. That Pro Shop JB's talking about, like when he said They had all the Quinto things. He literally had the entire line. If they make it, he had it. If you need the gas patch machine guns for any of your Wingnut Wings kits, he's got it all. It was really, really great. And of course, he has the mail order section and the wargaming and great models and kits. So yeah, great shop. And Rudy, thanks for your hospitality. It was good to see you again, and continued success on your shop. I have to mention too, JB has learned online video editing, and we were on the way in between Bernie and Kyle where Lionheart was. JB was editing videos in the car while Scott was yelling at cars. So that was a lot of fun to do it like that. And then we headed from Kyle over to College Station, which was the site of Winterblitz, which was held at the Museum of the American GI. What a great venue for a show. It's a little bit of a smaller museum, but really similar to Model Mania in Seattle in that you've got a model show that's taking place inside of a working, living, breathing museum. You know, there's M24 Chaffies and, Sherman tanks and almost everything there runs. And it really takes a show to another level when not only can you see models up to the real subjects, but you can actually, smell them when they run. You can smell the grease and the oil, and it's just a really, really great vibe. I thought it was probably one of the best venues for a show I've been to, John.
Oh, 100%. I'd recommend everybody to go there. It's tough to beat. I mean, they had 2 Shermans, 2 M18s, a Pibber, Cobra, LVT4, the list goes on and on and on. And the venue itself is great. What is nice is they're expanding into the second building next year, which is a gorgeous, like all wood. It reminds me of a very period type of building for that, World War II era kind of thing. It gives you that vibe. And I know they're going to expand down into that because not only the show is really outgrowing just the one hall, but the vendor space too. Like, oh my gosh, the deals there. It's unfortunate I only had one bag to take home, but when you see Dragon Smart Kits for $20, it's kind of hard to pass up anything. So I had to be very selective about my choices, and I picked up an Ostwind with Zimmerit for $20, which I saw yesterday at Colpar for $70. So I felt pretty good about that deal. But overall, a 10 out of 10 show. Best friends there: Steve Munsell, Andy Taylor, Russell, all the Texas folks, Bob Bethay. Ken showed up with his lovely wife and kiddo, and Cliff, obviously. The list goes on and on and on. Tim Campbell. So listeners, if you're interested to see more, please check out our video on YouTube. I think it really captures the essence of the show, and make plans late January next year. You got to go. It was super fun. And flights into Austin or San Antonio, not bad at all. So check it out. Or Houston. I mean, you can fly into any of them, but Houston's pretty close, like an hour away, less than that. And then Austin wasn't bad either, I thought. So
yeah, doubling down on the vendors. One of the people that we ran into that was a lot of fun to spend some time with was Matt McDougall. He had a lot of his 3D printed items there. And, much like models, when you see his 3D printed items in person, they are really, really stunning. He had a bunch of his new 1/16 scale Willys Jeeps wheels, and they're just beautiful, really beautiful modeling work. And man, he started the day with stacks and stacks of his tracks and wheels and accessories like that. And by the end of the day, he didn't have almost anything left. So he did really well. But like JB said, a lot of good deals, really good vendor presence there. And Brandon and his team just did a really great job. I want to highlight, they gave away, beer glasses to some of the best of winners, and a lot of their awards were really terrific. And Brandon is somebody that believes that a show should evolve and improve. He implemented a number of changes for this year's show. He already has been talking to me about some things he's going to change for next year. If you want to go, if you're thinking about going, just go. You're going to have a really good time. And, a ride in an M113 never hurts. That was a lot of fun. And just a great experience. Really glad we went, and we'll be back again next year. All right, let's kick over to Jensen.
Thanks, Scott. Okay, time to go over some shows that we have coming up in the next few weeks to the next couple of months. So, March 20th, we have the 48 in 48 online event for Models for Heroes. There's going to be a few of us taking part in that, and that's going to be a very big and eventful weekend. Hopefully raise lots of money. And I know Scott's going to talk about that a little bit later on. On April 5th, we have Commies Fest Jefferson County Fairgrounds at 15200 West 6th Avenue, Golden, Colorado. April 11th, Wine Country Model Expo in Petaluma, California. April 12th, IPMS Niagara Frontier presents BuffCon 41 at the Knights Event Center in Cheektowaga, New York. Details at IPMSNiagaraFrontier.com. On the 2nd of May 2026, IPMS Houston's Model Mania 2026 at the Stafford Center in Stafford, Texas. Our 2026 theme is Texas. So you have quite a range there. And finally on the list, we have the RME, the Rocky Mountain Expo, May 22nd and 23rd in Salt Lake City, Utah. All the information can be found at RockyMountainExpo.com. Or you can just harass Scott in his DMs and annoy him that way.
Absolutely. Bug me anytime.
Nice. Thanks, Jensen. With two shows that I forgot to mention also, TriCon, which is March 21st. So that should be a lot of fun. It's down in Pittsburgh. I'm going to finagle a trip there and hopefully catch up with a lot of friends. So that'll be a lot of fun. And then also the AMPS International Show, which is on the 18th of April. So both of those shows are going to be a lot of fun on the East Coast if people are interested. So going into our first discussion topic, I had to think long and hard about these because we record a lot, and the topics just, I feel like sometimes are hard to come by, but this one kind of stuck out to me just because I've been switching lately in between genres. And my question to the team and the listener base is really, what have you discovered new when switching genres? What are those experiences, whether during the build or finish, that you learned during a different genre that you've applied to others? And I can start and kind of level set on what I mean. I point to the Citroen van. I'll just point that out. Even though it was a car, it was an area that I really hadn't explored that much, and it was kind of like the decay and rusted patina type of vehicle that I haven't explored, as I said. So what I learned there was just the ability to use multiple layers of like hairspray chipping. So I've always kind of shied away from it and been scared of it because it's like, oh, I put 3 hairspray chippings on and 3 different layers, and then I use one, on the third layer, I use a brush and then it literally wipes everything away. So that was one thing I learned. The other is like the use of different colors. I know that sounds weird, but one of the last things I did on that vehicle was I added like a slimy green to pull out some of the mossy deposits that were seen in photographs. But regardless of them even existing, I actually really liked how the hints of green just made the vehicle pop. And I think it complemented the red rust really well. So learning little things like that has gone a long way, even in other projects, because now as I'm going through armor, I'm like, how can I use colors a little bit differently? Even though it's not super accurate, I don't really care. But it adds that visual kind of, it pulls you in. So that's one of the things I learned going in between genres is really understanding how just little bits of color outside of what's normally on that subject really makes it pop and draws the eyes to certain areas. And that's something I loved and I'm trying to implement in other places as well. So with that context, I'd love to kick it over to Grant to get his feedback on it.
Yeah, I'm also I really like the use of color more brighter colors. I think it's more interesting. I think I've switched genres quite recently from figure painting to more sci-fi stuff. And there has been some growing pains. I'll say that. Tackling what I learned in armor and figure painting and then doing these kind of specific sci-fi Star Wars things has opened my eyes to, it might sound weird, but super detailing, that there's so much, you could do so much detailing with such little things, if that makes sense at all too. It's really weird because I find that jumping genres like this, everything applies. The things I learned before apply, but I think it's the idea of, let's just say chipping. It's like JB said. Yeah, there's chipping in military vehicles. There's no chipping in figures. You don't chip a figure. But you do have to chip in a sci-fi. There is chipping. I mean, especially when you think about what you're building. Now, I like to work in Star Wars because it's a dystopian kind of universe. It's a kind of junk. You put it together, it falls apart. You put it back together, it's got scuffs, it's got marks. It's not a utopian kind of environment like Star Trek, which is fine. Don't get me wrong; it's a great genre. But carrying those armor character or techniques over to sci-fi has been really, really kind of an interesting thing. And some of the things I'm noticing is that the sites that I'm seeing now with the sci-fi is that you're seeing it with Gundam, you're seeing it with sci-fi models. They're picking up on the armor techniques, more airbrushes, more chipping, more weathering, more inks, more oils, and stuff like that. So that's what I'm seeing, and I think that's what really helped me the most is that you're seeing this huge crossover now of techniques that can be used in both. And I think that's very important. And, I might have drifted off your question, JB. I'm sorry, but, that's what I'm seeing. It's kind of interesting to be able to sit back a little bit and watch these newer groups use our styles. And it's kind of gives me a lot more hope in the modeling that it's getting stronger.
No, that's great. I couldn't agree more. And I love that perspective from your your genres that you typically work in, the figure world, which I definitely need to improve there. But I'm not going to dwell on that downside. I'm going to go over to Scott and see what he's pulling between genres, because he's Mr. Sci-Fi and Mr. Rusted Tractors and Experimental Vehicles. So go for it, Scott.
Which is all a nice way of saying I don't build a lot. No, I learned when I've kind of jumped into aircraft, which I like, but I don't do a lot of. I've learned a couple of things that have really helped in armor and sci-fi. The first is with masking. I built a Polycarpov I-16, and I used that Tamiya white vinyl tape. It's like a masking medium, but it lays down over kind of complex curves, and that worked really well. And that works great on science fiction and armor subjects for masking, building specific like patterns. The other thing is like Jensen has one of my models. It's a little tune tank of a Samoa, and I actually brush painted that, but I used kind of the aircraft guy's technique where you thin your paints down really, really far, and then just kind of keep putting multiple paints on there until all your brush marks are gone. And that translated well to that little tune tank. Yeah, I think jumping genres is really, really healthy and great. I know somebody TJ talks about a lot is Andy Moore, and he kind of moves from different genres, but I think always brings the best of each technique into the other things that he works on, whether it's armor, World War I armor or Star Wars kits or whatever he's working on at the time. So yeah, I think you should explore other genres and different techniques. I think it just makes you a more well-rounded modeler.
No, great feedback. I agree. And great segue into TJ and the world of sci-fi and armor.
So yeah, I was trying to think of like something specific that I've found from switching genres, because I started with sci-fi, went into armor, and then like kind of got back into more sci-fi. I would say probably my armor modeling has informed my sci-fi more than the other way around. Because I was pretty basic. I thought when I first started modeling science fiction, because I was just starting out. But after I got my feet wet with armor and got what I would like to consider pretty proficient at it, and then I kind of started really leaning into like machining Krieger, which is like a hybrid between armor and science fiction, and some aircraft modeling, because the colors really are more aircraft colors. People always think it's like, oh yeah, it's like sci-fi tanks, but they kind of are. But all the original colors were a lot of Luftwaffe colors, not exclusively, but a fair amount. So working with those colors, you don't see a lot of those colors in armor very often. So, but you weather it like you would armor, because it's most of them are ground combat vehicles. So really, I would say probably I was more informed when I kind of switched to actually doing aircraft a couple years ago. When I really was like, oh, I think I'm going to do this. Working with some of those colorways and tones in machining Krieger had kind of helped me with kind of moving to that, because I'm also kind of attracted to stuff that has a little more outlandish color schemes, or just not just kind of basic. I really like blue. I like working with blue. And I like a lot of the MiG-21s, because that's a sexy airplane, but also that those things came in every freaking color. And natural metal are cool, but I really like the Cuban one that I did, because it's green and blue, but not really weird colors. So yeah, kind of working with some of that more fantastical schemes that you have in machining creators I feel like hopefully inform some of my aircraft modeling, as far as like color choice and how to weather it goes. Hopefully that's what you're looking for, JB.
No, it's good. It's good. No, 100%. It's just pulling something in from one genre over to the other. So no, it's totally on par. I think it's a great example and something I need to improve on as well. I just, like you said, the world of Mac is so, it's so unique, and you're pulling in, and you're able to transfer stuff. So no, it's bang on. And with that, Jensen.
Hello, old chum.
Hello,
yeah,
chum? Is that
hello,
a thing?
Chum.
Okay, Governor.
Mr. House says it, so it must be a thing.
I was going to say, were you like trying to be Mr. House over here?
Yeah.
I don't have the aura for Mr. House.
That's true.
But yeah, I think I've learned something with every genre I've delved into. So I started off as an aircraft builder, and that was always priority number one, was get the build to be clean. Like, build has to be pristine. The build has to be perfect. And then everything else on top of that is great. Into aircraft, it was what the discipline I learned was the build has to be number one. The steam lines, you're rescribing, you're re-riveting, your landing gear, the raking angle has to be right, your ailerons, all that stuff has to be perfect. So that kind of taught me build discipline. Then I moved over to armor after a few years, and that taught me a couple of things. That taught me less is more, especially when it comes to earth effects and weathering, because there was an argument I always heard, if you make a mistake on armor, you can always just cover it with mud. I think that's the stupidest, dumbest, most invalid argument anyone can ever say ever. Okay, like, you do that. You cake mud on your armor and let's see how it looks. It doesn't hide the sins, it adds to them. So that armor kind of taught me to actually be more restrained in my approach to weathering and earth effects. And even if you like extreme weathering, like caked on mud, it doesn't mean you can just slap it on. There still has to be a delicate-handed approach and building of layers for that. So there was that approach that armor taught me, as well as paint effects. For example, like modulation and ambient occlusion. How do you make a block look interesting in one color? And that really taught me to experiment with my lighting and shading effects, because, sometimes a tank in just Dunkelgelb or just Forbio, it can look quite dull if it is just that base color. So really trying to make a base coat pop on a subject with, like, especially one if it's got many angles, like if we take an SU-100 tank destroyer, that can look really interesting because it's like T-34 hull, but then it's got a really big slope at the front with the angled armor. So with good lighting effects and shadows, you can really make that pop. So armor taught me that. When I did a bit of Mac or sci-fi stuff, that taught me to not care about the rules, which I really liked. That just, when I did my rusted yellow suit, so unoriginal. When I did that, I just thought, I have no reference. This thing didn't exist, so there's no rules to follow. Rust it as much as I want. I modeled it off something from the Fallout universe. That told me to just go with my heart's content and make it as battered and rusty and as knackered looking as I could, because who's going to tell me it's wrong? I tried ships. I have ships to build. That has yet to teach me the patience I do not currently possess. That is going to be something I do when I'm old, because I just don't have I don't have the patience for it now. Those are projects, once they're out on the bench, you don't really have anywhere to put them once they're started, so you kind of have to see those through, as Jackson's 1/200 of Titanic has showed us. But here's one kind of jokey answer. Cars taught me the hatred for this hobby I never understood. But joking aside, I don't like cars. I've never liked cars. I've built cars in the past. I've done 2K finishes. I suppose that's taught me how to apply smooth paint. Like, make sure the body's smooth, add a primer layer, sand that back, make sure that's smooth. Base color, paint, smooth that down. That's taught me the joy of sanding.
I think cars have taught us how stupid you are too, by grabbing extra thin instead of cleaner.
No, Mr. Hobby Tool Cleaner is just a diluted tech. No one will convince me otherwise. Part of me thinks that was like my subconscious being like, you hate cars, do it.
Do it.
Do it. The self-sabotage. I
can just imagine the scene where you put the hobby cleaner on, you take a paper towel, and the phrase of the paper towel stick to the plastic, and you go, oh no. Oh dear.
oh, it's like a hard candy that's melted in the summer sun.
Yes. Yes.
It's peeling.
Not in a good way.
My car now looks like a ghoul. But yeah, each subject has their own disciplines, and I'd like to think I picked up a few disciplines from each subject I've ever tried.
Well, thank you for your feedback, Jensen. That was quite the plethora of, of subject matter that you've crossed over. I mean, fun fact, I don't think he's finished any of those genres in the last year. So anyway.
I did 4 planes last October. That's my get out of jail card.
4 planes.
And what did I win with them?
Let's move on. All right, listeners, if you've learned something crossing genres, we'd love to hear about it. Post online, even share a picture. So with that, I'm going to kick it over to Scott to cover an event that we've supported over the last couple of years and we're deeply passionate about.
Thanks, Sean. Yeah, the upcoming 48 and 48, as most of you know, is a global build event that is for benefiting Models for Heroes. Malcolm Childs has a organization that takes care of veterans and first responders that are struggling with things like PTSD using scale modeling. What we love about this, first of all, gives us a chance to help people out, but also to use our hobby to do that, to help people. It's a lot of fun. That doesn't hurt at all. It's the weekend of March 20th, 21st, and 22nd. Originally, what you would do is you would grab a 48 scale kit, build it in 48 hours. Now it's kind of been altered to just grab something and work on it in 48 hours, see if you can finish it, hang out online with us and people all around the world. There's a UK leg, there's a North American leg, an Australian leg, and the Posse and the Geeks kind of co-lead the American and Canadian leg of that. And we literally just get online and build models and talk about models, and then we do online auctions, which is where the magic happens. Want to take a second and thank our sponsors, Tankcraft, Bases by Bill, Tamiya USA, Micro World Games. We talked about the model box, Rudy's shop, Lionheart. They've donated. Just really appreciate the people that make these donations. 100% of what we make on these auctions goes to Malcolm's organization, and then subsequently to people that need the help. Again, like John said, it's something that we believe in. We're a multi-year partner on this, and we really appreciate the event, which is spearheaded by James Skiffins through the model officer. And, we continue to be a part of it, and we'll continue in the future. So if you want to have some fun over a weekend, build a model, hang out with some other people that like to build models, and you want to help people that could really use a hand, please support us in any way that you can. There's a kind of a flyer pinned on our page. You can go to the Model Officers Mess or Models for Heroes, and you can see information there. You can always email me if you have any questions, or if you'd love to donate something. We'll accept any donations. The Americans and Canadians have done pretty well the last few years and kind of leading the way with a lot of donations, but I keep hearing that the Brits are coming for us. The UK leg are really gunning for us this year. So, we always want to have a little bit of fun with that. And if competition means that people who need help get it more, then we're all for it. So yeah, again, the 48 and 48 global build event, it'll take place on YouTube and Facebook. Keep your eyes peeled. You'll see the master schedule, when we'll be online, all those kinds of details. Show up, build some models with us, build some models with your friends, and make sure to save a little bit of money and bring it for the auctions, because it is for a great, great cause. So that's it. Coming up, again, March 20th through the 22nd. And if you can support the event, the posse would be deeply grateful for that support.
Bases by Bill is your partner for creating attractive display bases for your scale aircraft, armor, or ship, with a variety of products and custom solutions. When your naval aircraft project is complete, choose Japanese or U.S. carrier decks covering the 1930s to today, or come ashore with airfield-style bases that elevate the presentation of any build. Do you need something truly special? Bases by Bill also makes custom cherry hardwood bases with engraved details or full-color placards, unit emblems, and national insignia. With the show season here, Bases by Bill can create major trophies and 1, 2, 3, or gold, silver, bronze awards. We work with clubs and national organizations, crafting awards of all types and for all budgets. Visit basesbybill.com because there's always something new at Bases by Bill.
Thanks, Scott. Yeah, listeners, please join in. It's a lot of fun. There'll be streams all day long, and you'll be able to follow along and share your work, and it should be a great time. With that, I'm going to roll right into our second topic. I think this is going to be a quick one, but always interesting to me. And I'm guessing some of us probably have different opinions because I'm a sucker for these, and maybe not everybody's there because the old adage of there's no time to build bad kits is true, but there's some demented world I live in where sometimes I just love a good retro kit. And I'll mention what sparked this topic was when I was at Winterblitz, Brandon Jacob gave me a A7V from Toro model, which is, for those listeners, it's probably 30 years old. And for the longest time, it was the only A7V available before Meng came out with theirs. But I am just like, I'm enamored by it. I'm like strangely obsessed with it. I was looking at the parts just the other day and I'm like, I could make this work. And the same with older Tamiya 35th scale kits, which one of them stuck out to me was the Jagdpanzer L70. I built that in the past and had a blast with it. So some of those old kits are really big gems for me. And like, I think they feel a little special. Don't get me wrong. The new kits that are pretty much perfection are awesome. But sometimes I do want to take call it a retro build or whatever. Some of those kits really speak to me, and maybe not everybody feels the same way, but I really do. And I'm just curious if anybody else gets a little excited when they see an old kit. Maybe it's a version of nostalgia or subject matter that they're super interested in, and take the leap and build something that's clearly out of date and been well superseded. So with that, Scott, anything that comes to mind for you?
Yeah, I think I've got a couple different ways of looking at this. And I think your question, John, which is a good one, why do vintage kits feel special? I think there's different reasons for different people. I mean, it can be maybe the first kit you ever made and it brings back memories, or maybe you worked on a kit with your dad or a friend. And, so I think from that aspect, I think that's really appealing to some people. And I will say the one thing about vintage kits that sometimes is missing a little bit, or maybe not, maybe that's not even the right way to say it, but the way that they were presented is box art. Some vintage kits have just box art that just screams out. One of my favorite vintage kits is the Monogram 148 scale OA4M Skyhawk. And I absolutely love that kit. I've got 5 or 6 of them in my stash. And, by today's standards, they are not a good kit. They have raised panel lines. They're very simple. They're typical, 1970s, 1980s monogram kits. But the box art is so cool. And in that particular case, there was a first edition that came out, and the tail of the aircraft in the box art said Marini's. There's an extra I. It's kind of like how Jensen spells out aluminum with an extra I. It said Marini's on the tail. And 2 or 3 of my kits that I have actually have that box art. And so I just love that. It's so cool. I have those kits. I'll build them. When I was a kid, I could pick up those kits for a few bucks, and just great memories. Love the aircraft. Love the kit. So yeah, I mean, I definitely think that vintage kits can, for a number of different reasons, really be appealing.
100%. And TJ, over to you. I don't know how much vintage kits you build, so I'm curious for your answer.
I don't give a shit about vintage kits. I really don't.
I figured. That's why I said this is controversial a little bit.
I just don't care. I don't get the obsession over it. I mean, okay, look, nostalgia sucks. Like, it's not as cool as everyone acts like it is. Like, if you know the history of the word nostalgia and what it actually means, like, it's not really good. Like, it's not, I don't know why everyone like goes crazy about nostalgia, but yeah, I don't give a shit about vintage kits. And look, I know a lot of that's because I didn't start modeling until later in life. So I didn't grow up with any of this crap. And I'm sorry, that's what it is. What most of these kits are, they're just not good. I mean, that's like a objective fact. That's not like just someone's opinion. And you hear the same people say, they admit they're not good, which, I mean, look, that's what you're into. Cool. Like, I just don't care. I don't care that other people are into it. I don't find it entertaining. I don't I don't want to read an article in a magazine because you slogged through some old kit and gave it a boring paint job. Cool. Like, that's awesome, man. Why don't you build something like relevant that like everyone is talking about and cares about other than what you care about and act like it's the best thing ever because you built this one kit when you were a kid in 1974 and you've always remembered it. Like, all right, that's cool. Like, good for you. Like, but that is not relevant. I'm sorry, that doesn't, in my opinion, that doesn't sell magazines because that's not cutting edge, quote unquote, or current. Like, that's, I don't know. That's, I guess, a little controversial, a little aggressive, but yeah, I don't care. I don't get the obsession over it. I'm annoyed by it often. And that's just, as JB likes to say, that's just one man's opinion. You can come at me all you want. Like, I don't care. If you want a round of applause for building an old crappy kit, cool. I'll give it to you. Like, I respect the fact that you can turn these dogs into like decent products. Like, that's cool. That's not for me. I'd rather build something nice that's, fun and not even necessarily easy because there's new kits that are not good and are difficult to build. But yeah, whatever. I saw that on the outline and it was just like, oh boy, I'm going to say something stupid that I'm sure is going to piss people off. So
I have a counterpoint to your nostalgia. You don't like it. Nintendo 64 GoldenEye, man.
Oh, look, again, yeah, it's cool. Look, that's my game. I was the target audience for that when it came out. I got that game for Christmas the year it came out. I played that game until my eyes bled. However, when you compare it to what we have now, it's not good. It's just not. The guns are okay. They're all pretty much the same. The animation's okay. It's, it's fine. The controls are clunky as shit. Like, it's hard. You have a joystick and you're trying to play a first person shooter with one joystick. That's hard. Yeah. Look, I love that game. It's fantastic. I have fond childhood memories. Well, teenhood memories of playing that game, but it doesn't hold a candle to a modern first person shooter. It just doesn't. Like, everything we have now is objectively better. I respect it for being what it is and how much fun I had playing it as a teenager.
Yeah. You still have the nostalgia factor, but you recognize the shortcomings.
But my further point is nostalgia is not historically, it's not a good feeling. Like, that's where it comes from. Look it up. Like, being nostalgic was not good. It was looked at like almost like not necessarily like a mental illness, but like it was almost kind of treated as one, like if you were nostalgic about things because you were thinking about dwelling on the past. And I hate to break it to people, the past friggin' sucked. Like, the past is not as cool as everyone acts like it is. Everything is better. Well, that's not true. Not everything is better now. So some things are better now.
Exactly. Well, fair point.
That's a little spicy, and that's fine.
No, that's why I put it in there. We always get comments that we always agree with each other. And this one, we certainly do not. So I think it's okay. Maybe continuing on the hate train, I'll go over to Jensen because I'm pretty sure he probably feels the same way as you do based on his kit collection that I've seen. So
yes, I just buy new stuff. Okay. So
let me get out the soapbox. I'll get it. I'll borrow it from TJ. We'll go over to you.
Yeah, the stepladder. Yeah, I don't buy old kits for many reasons. If there's a modern version of it that's kind of relatively new, I will always choose that for obvious reasons. However, one of my favorite all-time kits, and now I say vintage, and then I'm about to say 1998, so I apologize. But a kit I built, me personally, young Jensen here, built the 1998 tools of the Revel JU52 in 1/48 scale. That is a 1998 tooling. That is an astonishingly good kit. So a lot of the reason I don't buy old stuff is because I have the preconception and the maybe biases that old means crap. Raised panel lines, no rivet detail, poor fit, terrible clear parts, all that stuff. I know not to be true, but I still can't bring myself to do it. And maybe this is a generational thing. I've no desire to build a kit from the 70s for the fun of it. Why would I? Because I didn't grow up in an era where those came out, or I can look back and think, oh, but that kit reminds me of my childhood. No, it doesn't. For me, a kit that came out in 2006 is my childhood. So for me, vintage is way backdating, long before my time. I like a lot of vintage things. I like 1950s era. I like the music. I love all that. But when it comes to like kits, the old stuff just isn't going to do it for me. I like things to fit. I like things to have really nice details. I just like the modern touch that kits can bring. I do want to touch on something TJ said about nostalgia not being a good thing. He's absolutely correct. Like, that's just fact. Nostalgia is a bit of self-delusion, and you are lying to yourself, pretending things in the past are better than they actually were. You are looking at things through rose-tinted glasses and a nostalgia filter. Because really, in reality, the stuff's pretty shit. But because it's back then and reminds you of a simpler time, especially if you was a kid growing up when you didn't have bills, you didn't have to watch the news and see shit going on. It's like, oh yeah, it was great. No, it wasn't. It wasn't great. And that's just true. Yeah, it's a rose-tinted glasses sort of thing. Nostalgia is a bit like a utopia. You look at it with an ideal, and you look at it fondly, even if said thing isn't. So for me, talking about vintage kits, I look back at the Earthix Yak 9D starter set. That's a very old kit, not a very good one. When I built it at the time, it wasn't fun because it was crap. It didn't go together well. Surface details were non-existent. But I look back on it now thinking, oh, I'd love to do that kit again. It reminded me of simpler times when I first started this hobby. It's not the kit that I look back fondly on. It's the era and the time and how simple life was. Yeah, long story short is I don't build vintage stuff because I'm only 28.
Okay, well, listeners, that's we're a coin toss now, half and half. But I think Scott and I's sleeper is the fifth person we're going to go to. Don't let us down, Grant. Where are you at on the spectrum for this one?
Well, I mean, there's a lot of good points. TJ Jensen has some great points. You and Scott have great points. Nostalgia is, like Jensen and TJ said, is false. It's what we think about. It's like rose-tinted glasses, like everybody said. You can never go back. Take that granted, you never go back. So we need to understand that nostalgia is dead. Now, you open up a Verlinden kit from the old days, and the smell of that resin.
Yeah.
There's something there for me. I can smell it across the vendor's room when someone opens a box of that stuff. Now, we also talked about Ben Hardaway, Ben Hardaway's M51 today, who took an Academy kit, which was, I'm pretty sure, a 90s kit, if not early 20s, and the Verlinden turret, which was back, I'm 57 years old, and I remember when that came out. So I have a love-hate relationship with vintage kits. I love them to a point, but I don't want to build them. I like everybody said that I'm getting to the point in my age where I don't have time to do that kind of work anymore, and I don't want to do that anymore, but I would love to have them, and I love the feeling that they give me. I mean, I've seen vintage kits from JB's collection that I have never seen before, and I've been around a while, and those are amazing to me. But like I started with, you open up a Verlinden kit for me, that resin smell, that yellow resin, there's something about that to me that just takes me to a different place. Not a great place sometimes, but it takes me to a great place. And because I remember trying to cut those blocks off with no subsonic resin cutter or something like that with an X-Acto knife or a razor saw, and spending 7 hours trying to do that and get it straight. And then at the last second you sneeze or something like that, and you shoot that razor saw right into the main part of the vehicle, and then you're screwed. But I'm going to fall on the side of I like older kits. But it's just, for me, it's not to build, but it's just, for me, it's just something there for me that I enjoy. We don't get a lot of joy in life every day, and sometimes that little spot of joy is a nice thing. So that's my take on it.
What's a kit in your collection, Grant, that you've got a connection with? It's a vintage kit, but it's something that you obtained maybe just because you have good memories of it.
Monogram Sherman tank with the Calliope on top, because that was one of the first models I built. And what was cool about that is not the model sucked, but inside of there was a Chef Payne how-to diorama sleeve about how to build a diorama. And it was, I believe it was the winter one where they had the guy standing there and they were standing around a fire, and he talked about how he cut up or crushed Christmas bulbs to make the fire, to put them in the fire to make them look like flames. And then he put baking soda on there, and then he put yellow snow behind the tree where the guy pissed. So stuff like that's one of the things that it draws me to that kit, is because that little piece of paper in there showed me that there's so much more than this crappy kit could be. And they did that with a lot of their monogram kits. Of course, Chef Payne is, the man, the great, great godfather of what we've all are at today. So that idea of, what you could see from reading that was interesting. I never would have thought about crushing up Christmas bulbs to make fire and stuff like that. So that's one.
No, that's a good point. That I think it's a bit of a segue question to everyone here, and I know it's something we've talked to Ian in chat about, because now and again we get a bit nostalgic in chat about like, remember the olden days of like playing Halo and like ordering pizza and like original Halo, like OG Halo.
I can play Halo and order pizza right now.
You you absolutely can. But like, for example,
the pizza's going to be better, and Halo is probably better.
Well, I was about to say. Take a
Hey, Jensen's on our side now, so let's not corrupt his opinion.
Well, so we spoke about nostalgia and old games, and I'm using video games as an example because we've spoken about it a bit. I've talked about the original Fable or Halo Combat Evolved before they did the remaster for the Master Chief Collection and all that stuff. Have you ever genuinely revisited something you're nostalgic about and you instantly get that disappointment because it isn't the same? It's like, wow, this doesn't hit like I remember. And then you don't remember it as fondly. And that's why I think sometimes visiting nostalgic subjects, things you are nostalgic about, is very dangerous, because all of a sudden your conception, your perception, how you think about it, it's like, I don't think about that the same anymore. And it's quite heartbreaking.
Yeah, yes. I have the same problems with books. Books that I read when I was a lot younger that I thought were life shattering to me. I went back and read them again, and I'm like, "What was I thinking?"
So leave it as a memory.
Yeah, exactly.
But yes, and funnily enough, the thing that was for me was GoldenEye. And granted, this was a while ago. This was before I was married. I've been married 18 years, going on 19 years. I had a girlfriend. Her name was Lindsay. She Jackson would love to like talk shit about how much better she was at any video game than me, and she was good. She was a good video game player. Like she was we played a lot of video games together. But yeah, she was talking mad about how much better she was at GoldenEye. So I'm like, all right, well, let's play GoldenEye. So I dug my N64 out, which I still have, and I brought it over to her house, and we played, and I'm like, wow, this sucks. Like, it's still GoldenEye, it's still cool, but I'm like, and this had to be like 2006. So I mean, like GoldenEye wasn't even really that old by that point, but like Halo 2 had maybe come out by now. So I'm like, you're comparing Halo 2, one of like the best shooters ever, to GoldenEye. And granted, and Xbox is only a generation after N64, right? Like there's not that big of a gap. And I'm like, wow, Halo is so much better than this. Like, again, it was fun, but I also posit, on a tangent, Perfect Dark is better than GoldenEye as a game. Perfect Dark, I mean, it's made by the same people. It was supposed to be a sequel to GoldenEye originally, and they lost the IP, so they just made something else. But as a game, Perfect Dark on N64 is way better than GoldenEye. It's objectively better in every way. The controls are better, the graphics are better, the guns are better, the story is whatever. Like, I don't care. But, it's a better game.
Yeah, Diablo 2 remastered. Same thing, better graphics, but you play it and it wasn't like when you first played it. Yeah, I have to agree with that. Yeah,
that's the thing I don't get. So we're going to continue talking about video games here for a second. That's the thing I don't get. Okay, I was a World of Warcraft player. I played it in vanilla. I didn't play when it started, but I played towards the end of vanilla. For like anyone that doesn't know how video games work, with as far as like World of Warcraft goes, vanilla is considered the original release of World of Warcraft, which I think was 2007. So I played towards the end of that before the first expansion, the Burning Crusade, which was fantastic, right? So I played from that up until, I don't know, maybe 2 expansions ago. I don't know. I've kind of gone back and forth. But anyways, at one point, not too long ago, Blizzard decided they would release WoW Classic, is what they called it. It was World of Warcraft Classic. So you get the original World of Warcraft experience, and people went over it. And I get why, because like we've talked about, they grew up playing World of Warcraft. Well, me and my buddy Michael were like, hey, let's try it out. So we did. And I'm like, wow, this game is so much better right now. Not to gain a mount until you're level 40 sucks. Not having gold sucks. Not having all the conveniences that they've put into the game, like 4 expansions later, sucks. Like, this isn't as fun. Yeah, in 2007 and 2008, when it was new, it was awesome because there's nothing else like it. Just like GoldenEye. On console, there was nothing else like GoldenEye. If you were a PC player, you had Quake and all that kind of stuff. So that wasn't new. But as a console player, like GoldenEye was new. But yeah, and same thing with World of Warcraft. When that came out, oh, this is fantastic. This is amazing. But 10 years later, what you had at retail, like 4 expansions or 5 expansions later, it's just better. Like, it's objectively better in every way.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. And I think as we go back to maybe model kits, which is where we started, I think it's the same way. If somebody were to drop a brand new tooled 148 scale OA4M, it would be a better build. It would be a better experience. It would be, if I wanted to build the OA4M, it would be the way I would want to go. But I do still think there's a little bit of a romance, maybe. Jensen, is that the right word? Like just kind of that rose-colored glasses that we were talking about for that moment.
It's definitely that thing, romanticizing the past. We'll always filter it and make it our ideal. Like, oh, that's a fond memory, even if we look back and it's like, that was really bad. It's been and gone, so we're not experiencing it anymore. So it'll always be remembered fondly.
Yeah, for sure. And I do think that there are some things maybe that this discussion maybe doesn't apply to you. I mean, TJ, I know you have bands that you love, but I think music might be a little bit different because there's still music that, even though in some cases my relationship with that piece of music may have changed a little bit, I still have a great amount of love, equal to or greater than when I first really fell in love with that album. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, it's a well-known fact that people stop listening to new music after they get really out of their 20s. I don't know if that's entirely true. I do find new bands and listen to new bands, but they sound like what I listened to when I was in my teens and 20s. Same genre. Like, I don't know. Yeah, music is one where I get a little nostalgia for, because I like what I like. And And yeah, some of it is, I remember sitting in my room playing that CD when I just got back from the record store, which, for all the kids listening out there, was a place where you went to go buy music.
Seriously. Yeah,
I do get nostalgic for record stores. Because we had a couple in Las Vegas, and granted, I'm not that old, so it's not like, like back. Shut up. Not like maybe you, Scott, and you, Grant, where it was like a little bit of a different experience. That being said, they were true record stores, where, because you bought vinyl, because that was still in underground punk and hardcore in that genre. Even in the 90s and 2000s, vinyl was not necessarily standard, but it was common. Everyone put things out on vinyl, and it was cheap. It was like $7. So it was like half the price of a CD. Yep. But I did enjoy and do miss thumbing through albums and pulling them out and looking at them and taking them back in the back at Balcony Lights, where I shopped, which my friend Frank owned, and listening to them on his record player, or having him spin it on the store record, the store stereo, so you could listen to it. Yeah, I do miss that. That was pretty cool. So I know I was just talking big shit about being nostalgic, but now I'm getting a little nostalgic about my late 90s, early 2000s trips to the record store.
Yeah.
And Yeah, man. Yeah. Scott.
for our listeners out there, TJ did get a little bit of a tear in his eye. No, I mean, in all seriousness, I mean, one of the reasons we love to go to the Model Mania show in Seattle is we get to go to Easy Street, which is one of the really great record shops that are still around. And there's something about, like TJ said, that smell, that the sound as the CD cases click against each other as you're thumbing through them. Like you said, 2 times ago when I was there, they were playing a War on Drugs record, and I'd never heard it before. And I took it home with me, and now I've got like 6 of their albums. I've seen them live, and you know, that whole tangible, you know, experience is something that I'm gonna stay nostalgia with, and so maybe we'll just asterisk music, as maybe that's a little bit different.
Well, we're gonna keep talking about this because now you got me going. Because so you all know that I played in a band when I was younger, and I only bring this up because, you know what, we're kind of, you know, freewheeling a little bit, and now I'm like kind of reminiscing about it, thinking about Frank and thinking about Balcony Lights. So here's a little background into me for anyone that's curious. I went to high school in Las Vegas. I lived out west in the United States. I'm originally from Virginia, so I moved out there, then I moved back. Anyways, Frank owned Balcony Lights. He used to be a place called Sound Barrier that went out of business. He bought it. He was old, you know, for us in the music scene, because he was like in his late 20s when we're all like 17 and 18. So he was like the old man. It's like, oh man, he could afford to buy a record store. Yeah, it also went out of business, so it was not easy. Anyways, that record store, and that's holds an extremely special place in my heart, because Frank gave my first band our first show after meeting me one time when I was my friend Tammy's +1 to a corporate quote unquote dinner for the company she worked for. She worked for a upscale, not like a Goodwill, but like, what do you call that? Where you like a reseller?
Thrift?
Yeah. Thrift. Yeah. Like an upscale thrift store called Buffalo Exchange in Las Vegas. They had a whole like team dinner. It was really nice. We were just friends. I was her +1, and the wife of Frank also worked at Buffalo Exchange. So we're there, and she's like, you need to go talk to Frank. I bet he'll give your band a show. I'm like, I'm not doing that. It's like, he's like the coolest dude on the planet. And she's like, no, that's okay. So she goes and gets them, and it's like, this is my friend TJ. He plays in a band. You should book them. And he's like, oh, okay. What's your band's name? So I told him. He's like, oh, right on, man. What kind of music do you play? And I told him. He's like, oh, let me think. Yeah, we got a show. We got a show with this band called Taken and another band called Thrice. And that's like in a couple months. Is that good with you? It's like, in a month and a half, maybe 2 months. I'm like, that'd be fantastic. So yeah, that was the story. And anyone that listens to any kind of like punk and hardcore music probably knows who Thrice is, because they actually broke and like made it big. They changed their music style at some point and like went more alternative. Got to be a pretty big band. They got radio play and all that stuff, signed to a major label. Still super good. Amazing band. But yeah, I played with them because they were the same age as us. They were kids too. Yeah. So now I am kind of nostalgic because
yeah,
I had, we played at the record store, and you had to like physically move all of the record like racks to the back. Like, so that way, like it was like long and narrow, and you pushed everything in the back. So like we got there early to help move all the in the back so we could like set all our instruments up. So if you look at any of those pictures that I have, you can see all the racks of CDs and records behind us that we're like playing in front of. Yeah, it was pretty awesome. Yeah, damn, Scott, now you got me all nostalgic and after I just was like, oh, this sounds terrible.
I played dirty, man. I played dirty. No, I mean, you know, and I think that's, you know, the root of JB's question is, you know, sort of it was implied, you know, why do vintage kits feel special in a world of new tool perfection? Is sort of like there's an in spite of element, right, gents? Of that, yes, there is that romantic element, even though we know the wart and we know the not nostalgic, not romantic pieces that come along with it.
Yeah, it's tough because like TJ, I can give a lot of crap to nostalgia. Doesn't mean I'm not nostalgic about many things. come on here, like, yeah, nostalgia. You're just deluding, like, you're deluded. You're lying to yourself. And then at night time, I'll be like, oh yeah, that was great. I should revisit that game from like 2003, or I should rebuild that kit I did when I first got into the hobby, or I should listen to that music I really liked when I was a kid.
Says the 28-year-old who listens to Marty Robbins.
That is Big Iron is a tune. No one can say it isn't.
Oh, it's fantastic.
It is a banger.
It's from another time.
Another time. I was born in the wrong era.
Oh man. Well, JB had to slip out, but we'll finish up without him and everything. But let's see. Oh dear, Jensen, what time is it over there?
Well, it's funny you ask that. I know it's an hour closer to you guys now because you just had to suffer the absolute turmoil of daylight savings and lose an hour of sleep. But for those who are refreshed and have slept well, especially on the European continent and everywhere else this side of the world, you know what you can do? You know what's coming. You can look at the merch we have to sell. That's right, the Plastic Posse is known for its world-famous merchandise. That's from pillows to hoodies to sweatshirts to mugs to stickers and even, that's right, ladies and gentlemen, I don't even need to say it, those world-famous lounge trousers. I'm even wearing some right now. Go on, treat yourself. Head over to loungetrousers.com and get yourself a lovely little Triple P treat today. That was really hard to say with my tongue piercing, so I hope you all appreciate the effort I go to for you all.
Thanks, Jensen. And we also want to thank all of you out there who are listening for being a part of our discussions and me bullying TJ into accepting nostalgia. We have a really good time doing that. But in all seriousness, thank you to our Patreons and our partners, AK Interactive, Micro World Games, Tankcraft, Tamiya USA, and Bases by Bill. Just one more reminder, please remember and put on your calendars the 48 and 48, which is the weekend of March 20th through the 22nd. We'd appreciate any support that you can give, even if it's just, logging on and hanging out with us or whatever. So keep that on your calendars. With that, we'll call episode 134 a wrap, and we will catch you in a couple of weeks. One of the ways that you can help to support the Plastic Posse is to become a Plastic Posse Outrider. Our Patreon community is made up of people who want to be a bigger part of the posse, and we really appreciate this large community of folks. We've crested over 300 members, and each and every one of you make a difference, and we really genuinely appreciate it. So how do you get involved? Well, if you want to become an Outrider, it's easy. You can even do it whether wearing comfortable clothes and especially lounge trousers like Jensen. Just go to our Patreon page at patreon.com/Plastic Posse Podcast, and you can set up a recurring donation there that starts at just $1 a month. These contributions help you offset the cost of bringing you the posse and also do other things like sponsor awards at shows, sponsor donations for people that might need it, other things that help build the community, swag, stickers, things like that. There are some great benefits also to being an Outrider. You're going to get earlier access to our podcast. You're going to get premium access to the five of us, and also the chance to appear on a podcast and an exclusive Triple P content on our Patreon page and social events at model shows.
Let's recognize our amazing deputy marshals. These loyal contributors support what the posse does, and we genuinely appreciate each and every one of you. And they are, in no particular order, Jacob Ford, Todd Reich, Brett Evans, Brett Johnson, Angel Garcia, Carl Dorn, Ryan Smith, Alamo Squadron, Model Fiesta, Curtis Towers, Winston Gould, The Quiet Corner Modeler, Daryl Miller, Rob Booth, David Clark, Richard Lane, Robbie Knopfs, Wesley Becker, Eric Daglish, David Wassel, Matt Tutman, Zach Pease, Brett Marcan, Greg Williams, Nick Wolf, Sean Orrell, Black Hat Scale Models, Craig Jarbo, Red Beach One Studios, James Morado, Mike Norris, Stephen Rodwell, Rick Cooper, Eric Cavina, John Hale, Eric Kane, Logan Hansen, Tim Gidcom, Dan Newman, Robert Blocker, Tyler Moore, Derek Post, Craig Flynn, Kenneth Childress, Drew Gardner, Scott Hall, Frank Perrone, Jeremy Diamond, Terry Wilkinson, Chris Lovewell, Andrew Callis, Ethan Idmill, Steve Baker, Patrick Brown, Jay Kidd, Brandon Gentry, Lee Fogel, Robert Klein, Mark Ewing, Toadman, Model Dog, Greg James, Les Percala, John Everett, Uncle Buck, Mark Bradley, Eric Brubaker, Jeremy Moore, DB Scale Model Studio, Jeremy Elliott, Mike Telly, Previous Seat, Mediocre Middle-Aged Modeler, Dan Knopfel, and JC Osborne.
Let's not forget our posse foreman. This crew is made up of posse outriders who give the deputy marshals a hand, and we also thank them for their support. Greg, Nick, Toimi Workshop, Andy, the voice of Bob, Graham, Keith, Dwayne, A.K. Armor, Bill, Casey, Theresa, Russ, Stefan, Mikkel, LeVar, Gil, Mike, Michael, Scott, Emery, The Krieger, Ozzy Modeler, Jeff, Eddie, Ross, Warhoff Models, G. Baker, Tom Stuff, Crazy Loca, Len, Cliff, Damon, Cody, Nukeman Mike, Paul, iBones Models, Mr. Grizz, Jackson, Joel, Chris, Jamie, MD Models, Papa Steve Munsell, JV, Eric, Matthew, and David. And of course, our $1 and free posse outriders like Mike. Thanks, guys.